The legacy in Southern California is a freeway system that, as designers would say, never quite got finished. Now, LA today has notorious traffic, and part of that is because some planned freeways that might have provided alternative routes were never built. In fact, only 61% of the lane miles of the original 1959 plan were built. Now, here's a map of just some of the unbuilt freeways in red. Gray routes with a route number were the roads that were built. The ones that did get built often had fewer lanes or lower capacity than originally envisioned, assuming parallel freeways would handle some of the load. Freeways which then didn't materialize. So, for example, going back to the Glendale Freeway, was supposed to continue south and meet the unbuilt Beverly Hills Freeway. Today, State Route 2 ends in a surface street, dumping traffic because planned downtown LA connection was killed. The Long Beach Freeway, I-710, still has a northern stub that was meant to extend to Pasadena, a gap that forces traffic onto surface streets and other freeways. And across the region, traffic became more concentrated on the routes that did exist because there were no parallel expressways every 4 miles as once hoped. In short, Southern California's freeway rebellion combined with funding shortfalls left a mixed legacy. We saved some communities from bulldozers and smog, but we also ended up with choke points and an undersized network in an era of explosive population growth. So the gas tax was a brilliant 20th century innovation that funded the interstate era, but over the last few decades, it's since faded. One issue is that gas tax rates haven't kept up with the times. The federal gas tax is still 18.4 cents per gallon, the same rate it was in 1993, over 30 years ago. In that span, general prices have risen dramatically, more than 65% since 1993. So the buying power of that 18.4 cents has shrunk to about 7 or 8 cents in early 90s terms. Many states likewise kept their fuel taxes static for decades. California, for example, we went from 1994 to 2017 without a single increase in the base gasoline excise tax. Think about that. The state added millions of residents and probably millions of cars in that time. Roads aged and needed repair, construction costs went up, but the main source of highway funding stayed at a flat 18 cents per gallon for over 20 years. It doesn't take an economist to predict a funding crunch from that scenario. So what about fuel taxes being tied to road usage? Now, in principle, if the amount of driving, in other words, vehicle miles, kept rising, even a flat per gallon tax will bring in more money. And indeed, Americans drove more and more each decade, which did boost revenue somewhat. But two counterforces hit: vehicle fuel efficiency and alternative fuels.